our aim has always been to cheer people up during COVID, to make it a little bit of something to watch, something a little bit of interesting, something a little bit local, something Eastern Cape, and who could be more Eastern Cape than our very own Olga Hafner, who we're going to call on right now to say hello, Olga.
Hi.
Hello, lovely to have you on, Olga. It's been, we've been wanting to have you on for a long time, and to try and to nail down a nice time of year. And I think the Christmas season is right upon us. It's a perfect time for you to come to get the Greeks out.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Oh, lovely, man. Of course, I've had Michelle Brown's been on as well, who I believe is a good friend of yours as well, of course.
Very good. I watched it.
Oh, did you? Oh, so you were on. You were on. So you have watched Gino's spot before. I'm actually very honored to have you watched my show as well. You know. and Olga, of course, you're just up the road from me here as well. I think we're a stone's throw.
Yeah, exactly, Gino.
Oh no, what do they say? They say my neighbor Olga has had head injuries. Head injuries for the last 2 weeks. She had to go to hospital, head injuries, because she's just a stone's throw away from my house.
Yeah, it's better to live in the valley.
Yes. How long have you stayed? How long have you stayed there, Olga?
We built here 43 years ago.
Wow! So it's been all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my soul! Because of course my father-in-law built here as well. It was probably around the same time, actually earlier. I think it was 1953 or something. Yeah. And so it's the stalwarts of Warmer, and I love the Warmer history as well. I don't know if you've had a look at some of the websites have been going with the Warmer history, and I love looking. There was an old train line that used to go up Water Road.
Yeah.
In the I think, but that was way before. That was like the 20s. I think in the 20s when the slipway was still operational,
and it had
ships up there.
It had its own municipality. I mean, that's why there's the Warmer Town Hall. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, it's wonderful, and so I'm still gonna do a whole program on the history of Warmer, because I think it's lovely, but of course we do this for everybody. This is for the Eastern Cape, and I'm sure that you're well traveled in the Eastern Cape.
I am, because of the wine. Yes.
Yes, indeed. And now tell me, let's go back to the history. I see. Oh, hello, Olga. Love and miss you, you special lady, says Linda Trollop.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Hi, Linda.
Yes, so Linda, of course, does costumes for a couple of people and for the theatre chaps around town as well, you know. And I see John Berger's here as well.
Yes.
That's good. At least this is some cooking happening somewhere. We're going to have him on for another cooking lesson soon as well. Do you enjoy cooking?
I do. I love it.
Yes, go for it. Say it again.
Yeah, especially Greek cooking.
Ah, of course, the Greek cooking. What do you think? Did you like your sister for tonight?
I love my sister.
Have you got any siblings?
I do. My sister lives in PE as well.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, magic. All right, and just history-wise. Okay, so where were you born?
I was born in Port Elizabeth, and I went to school here at convent, and
Holy Rosary.
Holy Rosary. All good Greek girls went to Holy Rosary.
Of course.
Yes. And I vowed that I never really wanted to live in PE. So I went to varsity in Cape Town, to UCT. And then I did my honors at UPE. And then off I went to Greece, because it was my big dream to go to Greece.
Oh, lovely.
A year in Greece, which was marvelous, and traveled all over Europe. And then, of course, I got the phone call from my parents. We're missing you. Where are you?
Yeah.
You know. So I came home and met my husband, and 6 months later, we were married, and I lived in PE. And I've got the best kept secret. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in South Africa.
You know, I think so too. I think so too. I mean, PE is such a it's really it's a best kept secret. Secret. It's a most beautiful city, and the people here are fantastic. Uh, you know, they always say, "Oh, Cape Town's very cliquey," you know, and Joburg's full of crime. You know, it's always the thing. But PE, I can't say about that about PE. It's just it's got that. If anything's attached to it, it's friendliness.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I mean, we were on the doorstep of the Big Five. We're on the doorstep of
Yes.
we're on the doorstep of St. Francis, the Karoo. We're in the middle of everything.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just an hour away. We for the last 2 days. I went to Springfield Farm out near Potensi, where there was like a they had stables and they had just a place, little cottages in the middle of the valley. It was just the most beautiful place. That citrus area there, Addo, Potensi, Hanky, yeah, beautiful places right here. The Bovianskloof. I mean,
Exactly.
oh, wonderful. And so, okay, school here with the nuns, with the nuns here. Did you enjoy your school life? Did you enjoy Holy Rosary?
Well, you know, you were really clustered. I mean, I was like in a bubble there. And suddenly, when I
Yes.
went to varsity, it was like, oh, what is this all about?
I know. Yes. And you say UCT,
UCT.
UCT. So that's a big culture shock.
It was. It was a convent girl and a Greek convent girl. And on my first
Absolutely.
race, there was a Greek party, with, as always. And I went to the party. And when I came back to Res, there were about 5 of them standing at reception. And they said, Miss Karangis. I said, oh, hello, you all know my name. You are gated, because I wasn't back by 12. Well, I burst into tears. And that was my introduction to UCT Res.
Gated already. Just the first night trying to go to a Greek party. Why did I know what is wrong with that? Brian Wilkinson here saying the boardwalk always had many successful functions thanks to Olga. Absolutely, Olga, and I mean it's really it's like yourself and Michelle together. As well is that anything you touch turns to gold with the function. I've got to say.
Well, I have to tell them about the conference when you were our guest. So Gino was
Yes.
going to perform in the evening, and he said, well, what time do all your delegates arrive? Now, these are all our reps from around the country. I said, well, they'll be here at 10. And there he arrived. What were you dressed as, Gino?
I was Legendre von Ransburg, my events coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he arrives with his pet dog, and he
Dog. I had a dog.
Yes. And he approaches
And
all of our reps, and they sort of look at him like, who's this? You know, they were terrified, and they didn't know who this wild creature was.
I faffed around, and I irritated them, got in their faces, and I had this dog that was that it wasn't a real dog. It was a toy dog. In fact, I might even still have it. No, it lost its head eventually, I think. But I had the dog, and I had this. I got this whole story about the dog. You know, like it is a fake dog, obviously. Okay, but you take the dog and what because my dog actually died, my real dog actually died, and then because it passed away, my therapist told me I had a fake dog for 2 weeks, the fake dog, and then you replace it with a piece of wood for another 2 weeks, and then pebbles, and then let go. I think these guys are thinking, what on earth is this about?
Where is he from? Who is this guy? And then, of course, when you did the cabaret that night, they couldn't believe that that's who it was. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. No. And so Olga, from you say from UCT, then you did psychology.
I did.
Wow, word. And were you going to was that your plan? You were going to be a psychologist?
Was I going to be a shebeen queen? Yes, I did want to be a psychologist, but I did my honors, and then I got married, and I started doing my master's, and I got my MA in a different way because I was pregnant, and to waddle around the campus when you're pregnant was not that easy. So I did everything up to my thesis, and then I said, well, I'd go back, and I didn't go back. And eventually I Shabin Queen.
Now, how did the whole Shabin thing start? How old were you then? I mean, been 21,
I was
20?
30, 34 when I started in the wine industry.
The wine industry, but that.
I started ad in the Sunday Times, and it was at the time of, they called it the Wine Plan, which was part of SA Breweries as well.
Okay.
And they wanted to, because wine was not, it wasn't a product that was well received in South Africa. We didn't have a wine drinking community. So to create an awareness, they decided to employ 84 people. And what we had to do was go into people's homes, almost like a Tupperware model, and do tastings at homes. So we wanted to create an awareness around wine. So I saw this advert, and it said, is it echoing?
Yes, I was going to say, maybe just turn down your phone there, or is there another device that's on?
Okay.
If you can turn down the volume on it, then it'll be fine, yeah. You can still hear me out the front.
Okay.
If you turn down that volume.
Advert,
that sounds right.
If you love wine, if you're interested in wine,
yes.
in wine and food, if you can do lectures, and of course I used to lecture at varsity. So I thought, this is a job.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is a job made
better.
Lecturing, wine, food. Oh God.
I think it's just the volume on that thing that must come down.
Okay.
You take the volume down. Or otherwise, Gary can kick off that other one there. I see there is another one connected. Okay. All right. No, it's still going.
Take it inside.
There we go.
Is it off?
Okay, that's off. Yeah. That's gone. Yes.
I saw this advert, and this is everything a dream job. And so, and that's what happened. And we were 84 employed. It was called the Wine Plan. It's never, ever been done again. And 84 of us were flown to the winelands, and we had the top lecturers in wine for 3 weeks. Michelle Brown was also one of us. She was in wine. And it was the most incredible training that's ever happened in the wine industry in South Africa. So that's how I got into wine.
84, hey? So,
merchandising, it was sales reps, it was management. And then I had a team of wine advisors who all had, we were trained in wine, beautiful uniforms. We all had the same cars, the same color cars. And so it was really a very slick operation. And from every quarter, you know, I had girls from every region, and it was wonderful. So we actually went to people's homes doing wine tasting. We had a wine center in the Elizabeth Hotel, and then we started an academy where we lectured in wine. And so it was a wonderful experience. That's how we started.
I mean, just from an advert in the Sunday Times. That's and obviously wine. I mean, do you enjoy wine as well? You drink wine as well?
Of course,
I mean, Michelle didn't drink at all, but she's doing all that.
Used to give her and then quickly run into the office and have a Coke and then come back out again.
Oh, classic. And so this group of 84 people throughout the country, and was that SFW? Was that Stellenbosch Farmers Winery?
Farmers Winery, and obviously Nederburg was one of the biggest brands, and that's how we got in. That's how I got into wine. So it was an amazing training that has ever happened. It's never happened again. 3 weeks of training. Yeah.
And what did you touch on there? Was it the whole? I mean, from the vineyards
from the grapes, we went into the vineyards. It was winemaking, and then a few years later, it was a winemaking course, and they said, well, I don't know why I was appointed to go on this winemaking course. And it was really all of the chemists in our company, the winemakers, and Hafner. So off I went. The lecturer sort of looked at me and he says, "You're a Hafnopolis. You've got to be Hafnopolis." And it was exactly how we make wine. And I mean, we were in the cellar with, doing all the barrels, and I mean, it's hard work up in that cellar. Really exhausting. And come Friday, and I had 2 sons at home. And I just went to our lecturer and I said, excuse me, but like I'm getting on a plane. I've got to go home for the weekend. He said, but what about your wine? I said, I'm sure they'll all look after my wine. So I just went with my white coat, which was full of grapes, and my hair was full of grapes. I got on the plane, flew home, and I came back and they'd all done the analysis and looked after my wine. So that was also a great experience to actually be there with the wine.
Actually, to make your own. I mean, that's also brilliant. It's like COVID training again. We've learned to do everything. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Everyone's brewing their stuff. I'm sure that during lockdown, your phone must have been red hot.
I was probably one of the most popular people, and I actually had 18 cases of wine at home. And by the time COVID was finished, I'd given all 18 away, and I thought, well, what do I do now?
Oh no, that's really funny. And I mean, it's just like but to get into it. So and obviously it says something about you, Olga. Obviously they saw something in you as well. You know, clearly quite driven and focused. You weren't ADD.
I was very lucky because obviously then I was in Stellenbosch Farmers for 22 years and worked in marketing and sales and promotion. So, and of course Cape Wine.
Yes, Cape Wine Academy. What was that again?
So that was also launched by Stellenbosch Farmers Winery. Dave Hughes is probably the biggest name in wine, and Phyllis Hands, and they wrote the training, and basically you become a wine master, and it's recognized internationally. So we lectured for Cape Wine Academy. Everyone is
wow.
And Margie Cullen was a lecturer as well.
Yes, I know Margie as well. We've done a few shows together, you know. She's done the talks, and she's doing the talks, and I've done the crazy.
Right.
Oh, magic! And so, okay, so because I know Gary was saying that at that time as well, it was a different time, obviously, you know, and SFW really controlled the whole. It was almost like a monopoly at that time, you know.
Because there were no estates to speak of, you know, no private estates. Most of the farmers would give their wines to the big producers. So we did have a monopoly, but we really worked hard in creating an awareness around wine, and that was the whole.
Pretty much like the co-ops, wasn't it? So they just bought up all the grapes and made the wine.
Yeah.
I see Sam Fenter's online here. Sam's been at school with me since the year dot, and she's saying, Olga the legend, we love you.
I love you, darling.
Oh no, Sam was always number one in class. You know, always the bright one. That one.
She is bright, and she writes her column on that, so she knows her wine.
Super bright, absolutely. So I mean, because all the restaurants, I would imagine you would have gone out and marketed to everybody, and there couldn't have been too many people doing that.
No, we were very lucky, and we wrote the wine list as we do now. We did the descriptions. It was a wonderful experience.
So, control of everything. It was like the Greek mafia back then.
And really, it was golden days. I mean, I was really very privileged to work at Stellenbosch Farmers in those golden days when there were no estates. So,
absolutely, and sort of building that whole marketing thing as well. So you were really part of building that SFW thing, the brand region as well.
And I was also very lucky. There were 4 of us in the company who were chosen to look after all our international guests. So I worked for the international division as well, just before the Nederburg auction. And that was exciting. But, you know, I get lost in a paper bag. So when they phoned me and said, would you host the overseas international guests? I thought, oh, what a wonderful experience. So we went down to Cape Town, and they gave me my instructions that I had to pick up this combi. I mean, I couldn't even drive a combi, but a combi. And you're going to have 10 guests in your combi, and you've got to pick up the guys from Belgium. Thank God he's a South African. And I was already a nervous wreck. So I picked him up. And, of course, all the roads were closed because there were fires. So he said to me, Olga, do you know where you're going? I said, actually, I don't. So he said, don't worry. And I'll drive. So thank God he was a Cape Townian before. And when we got to the hotel, you know, our international director said, Olga, the idea is that you drive the guests. The guests don't drive you. I said, no, I understand that, but this is very different. And then the next morning, they gave me instructions. I had to go to Klein Constantia and take them up the mountain. I thought, oh, but I don't know how to get to any of these places. I only know how to get to Nederburg. So I was a nervous wreck, brought the car down, and I crushed it into the first pole. Well, all the Americans who were supposed to come with me, they just disappeared. They were gone. And the Germans. And I just burst into tears. And then Madeleine van Billon, who was a very well-known wine writer, she came and she said, well, I'll come with you. I said, well, that's marvelous because I'm in such a state now, I can't drive anyone. So she got in the car and we started driving, and I said to Madeleine, weet jy waar ons is? She said, nee, maar dis baie pragtig. So she was just...
She was just as bad as you.
That was a great experience. And the following year, they phoned us. I said, are you mad? I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know what I was doing. I was lost. They said, no, well, ask your husband and he can come and drive with you. So that's what happened. So Leon was my... And so we met marvelous people. You can imagine it's the same agents from around the world once a year. Yes. They all, and our international director, Dick, used to say to me, Richard Coleshaw, he said, Ox, come with me to the airport when we meet them. And I'd stand there and he said, hit it, Zorba. And I'll start crying when you see them. And I burst into tears because marvelous friends of yours. And to this day, the couple from London who was Harper's Wine Journal, he was the top wine journalist in the world. He's still very good friends. They come out to South Africa. And when Nick and I went over to New York for my birthday, our agents in New York, they were also with us. And we cried, after your 10 days, you're so close to one another that they said, well, why don't we arrange once a year, one of us plans where we're going to be in the world. And so we did somewhere in the world, all 5 couples. It was the most magical thing. So you were just told, be in Dubrovnik, and we're getting Bodrum, and we're getting on a galette, and be there on such and such a day. And that was that one. Because I got them all Ithaca as well, of course.
Yes. You're fantastic. I mean, Ithaca, so did you take them there as well, to Ithaca?
Of course. So of course
Caranges. So Caranges, your maiden name, Caranges, eh? Is Dennis obviously a relation?
Dennis is my nephew, and let me tell you, Dennis is probably as knowledgeable on wine. He was our merchandising manager, and then he was the regional sales manager, and he's just as passionate about wine. So even though he's on Radio Goa,
yes,
he's still got a great.
It's Algoa FM these days, Olga.
And he was with Stellenbosch Farmers for a number of years. Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay. And of course he does all the marketing there for Algoa, and he does the ads and things. I know he's always involved, and he's always at all the functions as well. Olga, he'll never say no to a drink or two. Caranjas. Oh man, I see there's a little message here from Mandy Fairs saying, I remember that as a little girl, my mom Charl and my grand Maureen Buerta worked with Auntie Olga at Country Wear Pots and Pans.
Yes, that was when I had my first child, Peter.
Yes.
I had a phone call to say, would I come and train his staff? I can't remember what his name was at the time. Would I come and train his staff on how to sell non-stick cookware? It was very new, like a
non-stick. Okay.
Non-stick cookware. And I said, sure. So I got the pots and pans at home, and I played with them and worked out a presentation. And then I phoned my manager at Standard Bank, and I said, do you think I could just come and use it as an example and just see if I can sell anything to the girls and if the program works? Well, it was so successful, I said, well, I'll sell as well. And then I became the area manager, and I used to fly to Untitled because I had a team of girls there. And it was a little plane. We used to climb on the wing. And Peter, my son, was about 6 at that stage. And he'd bring his little suitcase and sit next to the pilot. And we would fly off to Untitled. So that was...
call those Buddy Holly planes.
Small little plane. I wouldn't even have gone to that wing today.
I see Sam Fenter says her mom was also with Country Wear.
Country Wear.
Sounds like Tupperware, but we're in a different vibe with non-stick.
Yeah, on a much higher level. But it was the model of Tupperware, exactly that.
Yes. Okay.
They were incredible pots. I've still got some pots and pans. And
good quality stuff.
Yeah. So that was before I joined Stellenbosch Farmers.
Okay, so that was in your 20s then?
Yeah.
Right. So that actually falls in the gap for me between varsity and thing I was going to ask you about, because you said you started in your 30s with the
Yeah.
wine. So before you were in cookware.
First of all, when I graduated, I obviously wanted to spread my wings, and I took a job in Johannesburg with Market Research Africa, and I was a research officer. And I remember we had to go to, I think it was Fox Street, which wasn't the greatest area in town, and we were doing a survey for British Tobacco. And the first question you ask is, do you smoke? Yes, I do. How many do you smoke? And if they smoked 10 plus, then they were a smoker. And Costa de Vares was, the top tax guy. He was walking in the street, and I said, Costa, do you smoke? He said, Olga, for God's sake, if you want cigarettes, stop soliciting. I'll give you cigarettes. Back to our director, and I said, I think I've done enough research now. I don't want to do this research anymore. I'm not enjoying it. He said, fine, then I'll make you HR manager. And so that was my story. So I spent about 2 years with them when I graduated, saved enough money, and then off I went to Greece. And that was my best.
Wow.
Europe and Greece.
Oh man, yes, a little gap, 2 gap years, or
it was 18 months gap year.
Gee whiz, so no, that is at that time in your life as well, when you're young and impressionable, and sort of finding your route. That's a fantastic thing to do.
And it was so easy when you think about it. I mean, we used to hitch with these truck drivers all over Wales, Ireland. I mean, you wouldn't dream of it today, but that's how we
hitchhiked around Europe. Very dodgy, Olga. I'm just saying. You can never trust, try and pick you up on the side of the road, honestly. Oh no, but Olga, we've got one or two little guests that decided to pop in today. I'm going to bring on the first guest, just to say hello. We've got him, Gary. I don't know if you can bring him on. Let's see if we can get. There we go. Hello.
Darling. Hello, yeah.
Hello, my darling. How are you?
Ian von Memerty, welcome to the show yet again.
Hello, Gino. How are you? Hello, my darling.
I'm very lekker. And I had Olga on, and I know that you've got a long history with Olga as well. So I thought, well, let me bring you on just to give a bit of dirt on Olga.
No, well, I won't bring the dirt, because that would be a very long show, because there's a lot of dirt on Olga Hafner. So what do I say about Olga? I have 2 mothers. I have my biological mother, and I have my Greek mother. And Olga is my Greek mother. But she's been so much more than a mother to me. She's my friend. She's my laugh partner. We've walked difficult roads together, and we were there for each other for that walk. And since then, we just have spent so much love and laughter. And you are an extraordinary person, Olga Hafner. You have the loudest and most common laugh of anybody in any audience ever. And you're lucky that we're on air, so I won't ask you to tell any of the jokes that you taught me, because they're all disgusting jokes. I can't tell you. And then, but also what I wanted to bring out, because you've told so much of the story about the past. One thing you haven't mentioned is how much money you have raised for charity. Have you ever sat down and thought, this is what I was managed. This is how much money I've managed to raise over these last 30 years of charity that you did? Have you any idea?
No idea, Ian.
Because just the functions that I've done for you, and often Michelle at the same time, let's just want to say they were not quiet functions with the 2 of you, but you must have raised at least R1 million in just the functions I did for you, for charity. And you gave and gave and gave, and you were also this wonderful combination of charm and bully. You were just say, don't you want to take a table? You know what? They're such lovely tables. You can take two. And these people would suddenly have bought two things because you were such an amazing saleswoman. I think sales is in your blood. What is the first thing you sold? Because I'm thinking you were most probably about 7 and you stole something from your grandfather's vegetable garden and sold that. Can you remember what your first sales job was?
Good heavens. Well, I used, my parents had a hotel and I used to sell in the bottle store. So, that was probably where I started.
I'm imagining this 10-year-old child. Do you want some wine?
I was advised you.
I can give good price. I got nice price here. Got Greek wine. So that was the one thing I wanted to bring out the other. The other thing is because you've talked so much about the past. What is the most amazing thing about you as a profession is that in many ways, the last 15 years have been the most successful for you.
Yeah.
So just talk us through what you've done in these last 15 years or so.
All right. So 21 years ago, Distel, or as it is today, was an amalgamation of Stellenbosch farmers and distillers. And we were allowed to put in for early retirement. I was 55 at the time. And I thought, okay, that's what I'll do. And then they said, no, you weren't allowed to retire. You have to have a role. And they told me what I was going to be doing. And then I got a phone call from Chris Jordan, who was our sales director a few years before. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I was going to hang up my boots, but I'm going to be doing consulting for Distel. He said, no, get on a plane and fly to Le Motte. We've got something to offer you. And I got on a plane and Peter came with, and we went, and it was basically offering me to start Meridian Wine Merchants in the Eastern Cape. And they made it so simple. It's so simple. We just want you to have fun. You're going to buy the wine, sell the wines, and it's such fun. And that was Hein Kuchelenberg, who's Hannelie's husband, Hannelie Rupert. And it was at Le Motte, and it was a Saturday morning. And he said, lovely to meet you, shook my hand, and he said, I'm going to play golf, but I really like you, and you start on the 1st of May. And that was it. I didn't even know the wines. I knew nothing about this whole portfolio. And that's how I started Meridian, from a zero base. And we've grown the region to a huge success, I do believe. And then we became...
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt. When you say huge success, are you not the only region in Meridian that has surpassed its goals every year for 22 years?
We have. But then we became national 10 years ago, which means that we now have a sales force of 400 people, and we represent 24 estates and 500 wines. So that's been great. And we work with beautiful estates. I'm very privileged to work with the quality of...
But also what I've seen is what has so impressed me is that, first of all, you started this when most people retire. So successful people take early retirement at 55. You start a whole new industry, and you've just made it boom. I love the story where Meridian said, now you're based in the Eastern Cape. That's all you do. The Garden Route, the Eastern Cape, it's your region. And they say, you know what? We're having a little bit of trouble in Mpumalanga. We haven't got any of these really good game lodges. And of course, these are these 5-star luxury game lodges. And our sales reps in Joburg, and now these are the young, pretty sales reps who can barely fit into their tops, and these beefcake boys, and they say, Olga, won't you go? And you go off cold calling in Mpumalanga. So just talk me through that, because I love the story.
So I flew up to Mpumalanga, and you go via Nelspruit.
I'm laughing because the fact that you have to pause when you say you'll get lost in a paper bag. She's been to my house 20 times. The first 18 times she phoned every single time and said, now, darling, how do I get there again? Where do I turn off? And she's a national rep. I don't know. You must probably were selling in the wrong region, but carry on. So you're flying to Nelspruit.
And I met the sales manager for that area, and we called on 32 unbelievable. I've never seen game lodges like this in my life. I mean, the one Elton John goes to, and they pay exorbitant prices. I mean, I think our lodges are magnificent in the Eastern Cape, but these ones are just unbelievable. So we went to 32. I did a trip. I think I did 3 trips, and we got 32 wine lists. Yeah.
And they had been trying for 10 years to get those wine lists. And, and what I love is that wine is a trendy industry. It's with people who are young and happening and wealthy. There is this woman, well past retirement age. I mean, she's I didn't see the beginning of the program, so I don't know if you mentioned that you had polio. So getting around is not easy for you. She's just had a leg op. She's got polio. She's now just retired, and they send this granny off to Mpumalanga, and she nails it. It was so wonderful because it was such an affirmation of how sharp you are, how instinctive you are at reading a situation, and how great how well you knew your product. I love that story because it's just so forward-looking and positive. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was, I think you're the only person who's been busier in COVID than anybody else. Every time I'd phone her, she said, I can't speak to you now, darling. I've got a lawyer. I'm setting up another business. You set up more businesses in COVID than I've ever heard anybody ever do.
Yeah, it was fun. So, I mean, it's just been a great adventure for me. And COVID, I think it made us all sit back and reinvent ourselves. And I think what Michelle and I did was very exciting for us, because we thought, well, how are we going to do wine tastings when we can't see the winemaker? So Michelle tuned into Paul Moore in London, and she followed how they did a virtual tasting. And I tuned into one in Holland, Australia, in Sydney, and another one in Belgium. and we then decided, well, this is what we're going to do. So we went out and we found bottles that we could decant into. And we've been very successful with Wine to Do, Michelle's Wine to Do. So we actually decant the wines into sample bottles, and then we put them into boxes. And then we have a company who comes and delivers them. And they've got to be delivered on the same day because they've got to be fresh. So the winemaker sits on the farm, and Michelle's members all sit at home, and they have their sample kits and they're tasting. And last week we had Bayers Kloof, and Michelle had 160 members tuning in from all over. And so my staff had to fill 566 sample bottles. I think they loved me. They've probably been 100 times. But that was what came out of COVID, and it's very successful. Because to get a winemaker to come, it's very difficult, especially someone like Bayers. You know, he's so busy and flying here and flying there. Whereas now he can just sit in his cellar for 1.5 hours, and he's done a wine tasting with all of us here in the Eastern Cape. So that came out of it.
And it's this, because we live in such an ageist society, and we live in a society where everybody's concentrating on what is young and what is new and who is happening. You just sail through that because of your energy and your enthusiasm and your kindness, and the fact that you're not afraid of a phone call. If you thought a phone call to the Pope would happen, I swear on Monday morning, there would be a phone call to the Vatican and say, no, it's very important. My name's Olga Hafner. I'm from Eastern, and they've said that I should need to speak to Pope Francis because I've got this really, really great plan to help with Italian wines. What we've realized is that the sacramental wine, it could be Bayers Kloof. So, and we can give them a really good deal because you just are utterly fearless the way you take on new things. And you are such an example to all of us, my darling, because you just keep going, and you keep getting better and better and better. I look, I just want, I mean, on the downside, I wouldn't say that Olga's naturally addicted to exercise. I don't look at her and say, oh, I wish she'd sit down again, you know. She can't run another marathon today. She hates exercising. Oh. So tell them that time that you went to India.
Oh, Lord.
So you land at the airport, in Mumbai airport. Go.
I landed at Mumbai airport. This is with the group that I spoke about, you know, that we all go together once a year. And my very good friend that I was at varsity with, Susan Bloch, was living in India at the time for 2 years. And she said, well, now's the time to come. You've got to come. So we all went. And we went off to this massage place. Well, it was like Godzilla jumped on us. I mean, I was absolutely and I slept there. I thought, never again. I mean, we came home exhausted from that. And then our agent from New York, Sheila, who's you know, real Manhattan madam, she would start off the morning because we hated it. I mean, the smell. I mean, people either love India or they hate India. I hated India. And I shared a room because we hadn't shared a room since varsity. And we'd come home and she would be ecstatic. And I said, did we really go to the same place today? Because I hated it. Well, and she would say to me, just 6 more sleeps, Og, 6 more sleeps, and then we're going home. But it wasn't.
I also seem to remember a story about you going up to the ski resort in the mountains here.
Yes, so that was another area. Nobody had covered roads to the ski lift. And it's roads, somewhere up there.
It's in a mountain. It's in a mountain, yes.
So I did the wine list for them, and she said, on condition that you come and train our staff. So I thought, fine. So off we went, and you park at roads, and then they say you can actually drive up if you've got a 4x4, which we had, or we come and collect you. So we decided to drive up. Well, I remember when I phoned Nick and Pete, and they said, are you mad that you actually drove up? Because I sent them a picture of where we were. I mean, it's terrifying how we got up. I couldn't believe we got up. And here's the snow machine. The snow machine's going at a hell of a lick. And then I got out the thing, and of course I slipped. I mean, the snow, it's just snow. It's gushy, girl. It was hideous, absolutely hideous. The snow, and we were looking for, it was an awful exercise. Well, the two of us just decided we wouldn't even bath in this little bath. We would just go to bed in our clothes and leave at Sparrows the next morning. I trained the staff when we got there, and we couldn't get out of the fast enough. That was the ski resort.
And you know, you've been such a darling friend to me, and you've given me so much love and laughter and kindness and heart and inspiration and filthy jokes, filthy, terrible jokes. They're looking at you now, looking all demure. I'm looking at your demure face, and I'm thinking, if they only knew the things that have come out of your mouth, well, that would give them a whole different insight. But you can be so proud of yourself, my darling. You can be so proud, and not just for them, but even more for what you've done now. In these last 10 years, it's been a miracle to watch you just getting better and better and more powerful. Love you, my darling.
I love you, Ian, and all the family. Give them all my love. I love you, darling.
Ella, Gina, I was really hoping that while Olga and I were talking, you'd get changed, because that is such an ugly thing to look at.
You've seen me in worse, you know. Yeah.
No, not really. Possibly about the same. Oh, God, look at those suspenders.
Suspenders, that's right. That's right.
Oh, sorry, I just need a drink.
You're just jealous because you couldn't just wear those.
I'll have you know that I've got my own pair. No, Sam, that's disgusting. Ask Olga about the vaginas. I think you can ask her about the Vagina Monologues, but you can't just ask her about vaginas generally.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't going to ask Olga about her vaginas, but we'll. What is the vagina story, Olga?
What it was is that our dear friend that we lost, we're devastated, Dawn Lindbergh.
Dawn.
Yeah, she got the rights to produce Vagina Monologues, which was a woman who interviewed thousands of women around the world to actually find out from them. It was women who'd been abused, women who from North America, South America, Bolivia, Bahrain, all over the world to talk to women. And she wrote these monologues from the vagina, but for this particular culture. And it's done around the world during February, which is when they do women abuse. And obviously now today with gender violence being so prominent. And they get celebrities in every major city. So, I mean, in Hollywood, it was Nicole Kidman and Vanessa Redgrave. And then she got the rights for South Africa, and she phoned Michelle and I and said, wouldn't we like to do it? I said, well, we don't have the Nicole Kidmans, but we've certainly got 30 very interesting, powerful women, Sam being one of them. And we were 30 women, and we had to get on stage and do this powerful play. And I mean, it's fine, Ian, when I tell you a naughty joke with me, but to stand up there, and it was very hard for all of us. But she groomed us and she trained us, and it was extraordinary, an extraordinary experience. We did two shows, and whatever we raised obviously went to the houses where of women that Yokusela, where they have, which is for women of abuse. And I think what was the most moving thing for all of us at the end of the show, Dawn gets on stage and she says, she gives all the stats on all the women abuse that's taken place in South Africa. And then she says, anyone who has been abused, step forward. And in the audience, you stand, and you just see these women standing. And from our group of 30 women, probably about 3 or 4 took a step forward and couldn't believe it. We didn't know. And then she said, anyone who's actually been touched or knows of someone who's been abused, stand up. And the entire audience of 1,200 people stood up. It was the most moving thing that I've ever experienced. And we raised a lot of money. And then the second time we did it, instead of raising money, we said, just bring us whatever you want for these women, be it blankets or clothing or toiletries. And the whole opera house had bags, black bags, lining the entire opera house. So I saw Linda Louise yesterday, and we've been talking, Michelle and I, and we just feel that a tribute to to Dawn would be to actually stage it again. But these 30 women were very brave. I mean, some of the scenes are hilarious. Some are frightening. I think you go through every gambit of emotion that you have. Yeah. And we formed a wonderful sisterhood, and we meet on a regular basis, and we just take 5 minutes and say, well, tell us where you are in your life. And we share this experience. But we've got the strongest bond. The sisterhood is so strong. And, that we lost Naomi Solomon, who was also one of our women. We lost, a few years ago, we lost Noreen from Addo, who we called the Duchess of Addo. And now we've lost Dawn. So we just feel that we would like to stage it again. And because we've got three women who are producers. We've got Robin Williams, we've got Sharon Rother, and Louise. So all could actually step in and do this as a tribute. So that's what the Vagina Monologues are. So often there's one of my vaginas.
Ask Olga about the vaginas. What an extraordinary thing to put on the screen.
Gary spotted that one coming. But we've had a number of the sisterhood on as well. I think Carol Ann Keller and Nikki Clucci Barris was on as well, who's just also survived COVID too.
Exactly.
So
oh wow.
Yeah, she also had it's the second wave has been brutal
Yeah.
Even Gary's been going. You know, it's Gary's had it, and we've had to. He's had to do the show from home when he was able, but he's through now, so he's up in here and causing cuck again with us, as you can see.
Please don't say cuck. Olga would be very offended.
Well, thank you, Ian, for popping in. We won't keep you because otherwise you'll send me an invoice here now. I know you.
Yeah, Olga trained me well. Yes. Love you, darling. Bye.
Ciao, Ian.
You ask it, cousin, even more, my love.
Come on, darling. Trickies.
Okay. Casvia as well. Yes, the kids. All the kids. My word. And yes, the grandchildren. No, I can't do a show with Ian without at least 15, 20 minutes on Olga and how wonderful she is, you know.
Yes.
And I think when he comes down and rehearses over here at my place, he always pops past as well.
Exactly. Then we have supper together and catch up. Yeah.
Gets his fix.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got one other guest to pop on as well, Olga. I'm going to bring him in right now as a little surprise. We have every now and again Charl Leslie pops on and he gives the lowdown.
How are you, darling?
I'm good, thank you, Olga, and you?
Very well. Lovely to see you.
You too. So this time round, I'm not in a car, which is good news. I'm generally always in a car if I pop into someone's live. This time, though, not in a car. So I want to fast track this because there's sea noise and there's children playing and stuff like that. But my first interaction with Olga dates back to 1987. I was on the Junior City Council. Olga worked for Stellenbosch Farmers Winery, and she sponsored all the wine for a premiere we did of the movie Heartburn with Jack Nicholson and I can't remember her name now. She was in the Mamma Mia movies as well. Anyway, Olga sponsored that wine, and I didn't meet her again until a couple of years later. Olga is also one of the driving forces behind a festival that was held at the Feather Market Center called Bon Appetit.
Yeah.
Do you remember Bon Appetit, Olga?
Well, for the Greek community, yeah.
Exactly. My mom has what we call the Blue Recipe Book. And that is a collection of recipes from her mom, from all her friends over the years. And in there is a recipe for Bon Appetit Denny mushrooms.
Really?
There was a batter with herbs, and we used it for cheese as well, and that worked really well. Fast forward, though, to Charl does 9 till midday on Algoa FM. And there was a long-running, very, very well-received feature called Out and About with Olga Hafner. And we had such a blast doing that. And again, as was alluded to just a little bit earlier on, the stuff that was said off mic was sometimes more interesting than the stuff that was said on mic, to be fair. And aside from the fact that I want to say that respect to your dedication to your industry, to your insanely complete knowledge. Olga is one of those people who falls under the description of, if Olga ever passes away, because I think she's in the category of Sharon cockroaches, to be fair, they will say a library has burnt down. Because your institutional knowledge, your product knowledge, and your knowledge of life and people stands out in a way that is inimitable. And I do mean that in the sincerest form of the word, inimitable. There is no one like you. There is only one Olga Hafner. And that is just so cool. Olga and I co-hosted a function for some competition winners at the Darlington Dam Lodge in, I want to say, 2001 or 2. I'm not absolutely sure. Olga was an absolute champion, but slightly short-tempered, again, to be fair. And she was asking me, okay, how are we doing here? Is everything under control? Have you got everything? Is everything waxed? Are we good here? And I was like, no, I need a little bit of help with this. I need a little bit of... And Olga was the person who said, right, what can I do? She blended the hell out of those peppers and tomatoes for the roasted pepper, the roasted red soup. She laughed at me while I stood in the cold room with with a food processor, blitzing the sorbet that we were going to serve. That was a gin and lime sorbet. She presented a wine that the Lomorans Mindor.
Good heavens.
Is that wine still available? I asked because
Which one?
Lomorans Mindor.
Vindor. No.
It was amazing, and I can't believe they've stopped that. But I was there in my chef's jacket, kind of popping out every now and then, frantic. Olga also witnessed me managing to stuff up a jus in the most spectacular fashion. I put so much rosemary in with the bones that it was inedible, and I had to remake that at the last minute in a kitchen I'd never seen, with a Dover stove, and if I live to be 100, which is unlikely, I will remember that very, very, very fondly. You are a living legend. You are insanely good at what you do, and long may you continue to do that. I can only echo what was said earlier on. There truly is only one. There is no one like you, and that's a good and a bad thing for me in equal quantities. There should be more people like you. You are bossy as hell, but compassionate as hell. And that for me is truly one of your amazing qualities. I'm well impressed with you still doing the things. And let's be honest for a second. You've encountered some shitty tragedies in your life. And you just go. I don't know where you get the energy. I wish I knew your secret. If you've done a deal with some dark forces, I don't care. It's the Greek thing, isn't it?
It's the Greek thing. I also have two wonderful...
Olga, I'm not going to keep...
I'm just going to say that I have two
I'm not going to
wonderful...
keep you much longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is...
Sorry.
He's the wind under my wings, and he just keeps me going. And I'll tell you about my grandson. I'll tell you this lovely story. He's got the most...
Oh, Zach.
10 years of age, and he phones me last week, and he said, because I told him his exams were so wonderful, and I want to give him a little present, which I'll give to him when I see him after Christmas. And he said, I want to buy you a present as well. I said, oh, that's sweet, Zach. I'd like to buy you a bathing costume.
Right.
I said, that's so lovely. Why? Because then I know that you'll come swimming with me and you'll come on the boat with us. I mean, have you ever... But
that is absolutely darling. And that is, in fact, a perfect summary. When are you going to Ithaca again?
Well, we hope to go in July. We hope.
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
It's your happy place, and I know that.
Yes.
Olga speaks most glowingly and lovingly of Ithaca. It seems to me like it's home away from home, and that's beautiful and touching. You are an incredibly special soul, and again, I have to repeat the words: living legend.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
You've done so much for the industry, so much for people. You've inspired me, and I will never forget what you have been, and I continue to wish you only the best going forward. You're a beautiful person who can be very difficult.
Oh, magic. I love it, Charl. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Charl. You hit it on nail on the head there. Bossy yet compassionate. It's very Greek. Thank you, Charl. He's got children and sea sand and sea air. I don't know where he is. But it doesn't sound legal. No, Olga, absolutely. Do you think that Megan Vass, Graham and Megan?
You, Megan, and Graham, please give lots of love to both of you. Thank you.
Lovely. They're down in Cape Town. Of course, they spent a lot of time in St. Helena. You never went out there with them, did you?
No. Still have to do that.
Yes, I think that sounds like a good. It's also an island, just like Itaka. Hey, it's island. To keep those bastards away, you keep everybody else away. Then you only just the family on the island. No. Pat Fields is saying Olga's looking great. Pat, she's a legend. Another legend. Oh man, and so I mean that Greek thing. I mean I don't know. I also hang on to my bit of Italian roots as well. You know, the family thing, get together, and the family meal, the family, and wine is a part of that.
Yeah, exactly. Breaking bread with family, there's nothing better.
It's true. And so like you said, not only with family, but I mean relationships in general. Isn't that you've had so many different projects and businesses. It's I think Jonathan and Nina are here with us in the Eastern Cape. Love to all. Oh, they're at Bika. That's where they are.
Worked with Jono, and he's a legend. That's a legend. When he used to do his black swan or black duck on the stage, I mean, he is a legend. Love you, Jono.
All right. Oh, magic. But just relationships, you know, it's a recurring theme on the show. People talking about relationships with people.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, for businesses as well. I mean, do you find that for business as well as your personal life?
Absolutely. And and the success of anything that we do is because of relationships, not just the brand, it's the relationships. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, there's another Jono. Yes, is Jonathan van der Vlies.
Nice to hear you, darling.
He must be a relative of Mr. van der Vlies, SE van der Vlies from Clarendon Park, just up the very strict principal that was there when I was there, I think. Okay, I'll go towards the end of the show. She says, I wish we could get together, she said, Vivian. Vivian's always on the show and she's always trying to win the prize, but she can never quite get it. Zaki and Lefty have...
that's Zaki's grandfather. That's lovely. And they're in Kenton. Hi to all the brides.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And I see he's lying on the floor with the dog there as well. So his profile pic. Oh, beautiful. A good family time. That's this time of year as well. This time of year. Now, there's a couple of questions that Gary always puts here for the last little bit of the show. We say, well, what's the most adventurous or outlandish thing that you've ever done?
The most outlandish, probably gone to India. I mean, that was the wildest thing I've ever done.
You know, you're not a really good advert for Indian tourism.
You either love it or you hate it.
It's true. It's true. Just didn't have a good one. Well, maybe we'll get some Indian people to take you across to a really nice place next time, Olga. And the snow, that made me laugh as well. The snow, I would love to. That's Tiffindale.
Tiffindale, that's exactly it. Oh, God. I couldn't get out of there. And then when we came down that mountain, I mean, we couldn't believe it when we saw in the daylight. I said to Leon, are we mad? What have we done here?
Oh, my soul. No, I'm dying to go there. I love skiing. I love it. I'm the exercise guy. I'm there. Woo-hoo, let's go. Okay, Olga, let's have a look. The hardest lesson you've ever learned in life. If you can't think of anything, it's also fine. But just a quick rapid fire questions.
Yeah, the hardest lesson is probably not to be emotional, not to take things personally, and just to accept any type of criticism or knock, and just find every problem there's a solution for an opportunity from every problem. So just overcome problems and look for the opportunities. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what you're saying is take criticism. You have to take. I mean, you have to filter in your own way, but you've got to step back a lot of the time. If you want to learn, you've got to step back and take it. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry.
Right.
Yeah, and also and also when you take knocks as well, just stick to the practical. There's a solution. There is a solution. You may not think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also find work is very healing. It's the most amazingly healing thing to work.
Yeah. So the companies that you was talking about during COVID. Now you're talking about online stuff that you've been doing.
Well, we've been doing virtual tastings, and then we also did some deliveries of food, like Cook In. I worked with Alan and with Linky, which was very good. And then a lot of direct to consumer, because we've always been B2B, which is business to business, but now we've looked at direct to consumer because the eating out became eating home. So we had to focus on the eating home. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You've clearly got a mindset that can work out these things and put them on a one pager. You know what I mean? That I find so important is that you can have all these ideas, but if you can't focus it into a business plan, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So you do that.
And that's my Nicholas. No, he's my sounding board. And they'll say to me, just focus. Get nice ideas, Mom, but just focus. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're able to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Then I said, what about, have you ever got really, really angry?
Yeah, I'm sure. Lots of times. Yes.
No specific things. Come on, it's not going to just let you get away with that, Olga.
I think also, when people are rude and especially the wine tasting, when those ones think they know it all and they keep intercepting, they really just want to be heard. Yeah, just want to be heard.
Yes.
Those ones.
I'd just like to have a few words about this one, because for me the bouquet is just awful.
Those ones. Yeah.
Okay. All right, no, we get that. Let's have a couple of the weirdest thing you've ever eaten.
Oh, what would that be? I don't know. I love food. So
no Mapani worms. No, nothing like that.
No. We went on a cruise on the when we were in Zimbabwe, and they had those Mapani worms on the boat. It was a wonderful experience again with all this group. And they brought these Mapani worms, and I thought, that was too terrible. But the funniest thing was we were on this cruise boat, houseboat, and our international director was with us, and all our guests, the Americans and the Londoners and the ones from Mauritius, my little circle of friends. And he said, where would Zorbs, he always calls me Zorbs, where would you like to sleep? And I wasn't too sure because I didn't see any cabins. And I said, well, I don't mind. Where's everybody else sleeping? Because I don't know where the options were. He said, well, upstairs or downstairs? And I said, well, upstairs will be fine. And basically you slept on deck and you had this net around you. So we all were on this together, that's how we slept.
Oh,
and then we asked Sheila, the American, where do you want? I sleep where Zorbs is sleeping. That's fine. So we were all sleeping with this net surrounding you on deck, which was extraordinary.
Lovely. That sounds beautiful. That does sound beautiful. Okay, so little either ors, rapid fire here. Night owl or early riser?
Definitely night owl. Very Greek. Don't get me up early. Hate it.
Don't get me up early. No, bugger off, you children.
But my sister's the same mother, but complete opposite. Yeah.
Okay, beach or pool?
Pool.
Pool, okay. Flowers or chocolates?
What was that?
Flowers or chocolates?
Oh, God, both.
Nice.
Love flower. Always a flower.
Animals, dogs or cats?
I think dogs.
Good. I like that. Do you have not have cats?
I don't have any animals at the moment because we lost our last Dachshund, and I don't think I can put myself through another loss. So
yeah. The German Dachshund was always a shame. They are beautiful.
Family.
I'm sure, and they don't live long enough. These animals.
No.
Fiction, non-fiction.
Non-fiction.
Okay, non-fiction. So and not so you're not a sci-fi person.
Fiction. Now I'm a book club girl.
Oh, okay, you like it.
Oh yes.
Oh, excellent. All right, movies or series at home or at the cinema?
At the moment, at home. I mean, why go to the cinema? Lovely at home.
It's true. Indoors or outdoors?
I love outdoors.
It sounds like you didn't. You didn't like that snow.
No, not the snow, but I'm Greek, so we want the sun. So I love being.
I want the sun.
Oh, yes, want the sun.
Of course, outdoors, but not too outdoors. You mean?
And if I get back to pool and beach, I must tell you, when I go to Greece without Nicholas, then it's the pool because I obviously can't walk. And there's stones. So when Nicholas is, he insists that we go on the beach, and my beautiful Zaki, and they both hold my hand. Zach puts on these shoes, these rubber shoes, and Zaki puts them on for me, and we walk up to my waist. And then Nick pulls out the lilo, and then he pushes me out, and off I go. And I'm off the lilo. And then when it's lunchtime, we bring the lilo back, and I sit on the sand, and the lilo becomes our table, and we all eat off the lilo. So that's what I do.
Magic.
And I love the beach. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. This little chap sounds like he's got wrapped around his finger.
I think he's got all his grandparents. He's with them now. Very special child. Very special.
Oh, classic. I love it. And I hope you're going to get that costume on and get out there and go and have a swim and get on the boat.
There's no getting out of it this time. Definitely on the boat. Yeah.
Okay, last couple. Proudest moment?
I think giving birth to my sons and when my grandson was born.
He's taken over now. It's so funny how the grandchildren just take over completely. Oh, yeah. Forget about the birth of your sons, and that's nothing anymore. It's all about the grandkids.
Exactly. And there's a Greek word, chrysomo, which is my gold. And then he's my chrysomo. And then we'll tease him. Nick will say, well, I am Yaya's chrysomo. And that he is.
Yeah. Now, in Italian, we got the nonna. And my nonna used to call me tesoro. Same thing.
Yeah.
Tesoro. And chrysomo, is that what your one is? You see how the Greek is the brother and sister of the Italian.
Similar.
It is. Okay, and then I've got the most embarrassing moment or the worst gig ever. I always say the worst gig.
Yeah. I'll go back to the days of Stellenbosch Farmers when Margie and I were lecturing for Cape Wine Academy. And we had all the students at the Elizabeth Hotel. It was very serious. They'd written their exam, and we had to do the results. And we looked at each other and we realized we didn't bring the results with us. So we quickly improvised and said, you know what, this is such an important exam, and we actually can't give you the results tonight, but we will phone you all tomorrow. Have him tomorrow. It was the worst.
I know you're fine. The whole evening is going to be bad. Oh, my word. Hello, I don't know. I don't know if there are any of the family watching from around the world. You said that, Zach, that's in Kenton. There was somebody from New York, Roy Boerter. Is that?
Yeah, and then I don't know if my cousin Emily, Paxinos and Nick, they're in Miami, and I know they wanted to watch. So if they are, I'm sending them lots of love.
Oh, nice. Well, stick your comments up. I'm sure Gary will spot them as well. But Olga, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on tonight. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And there's lots of love for you out there, for sure.
Thank you.
I know that.
Thank you.
And just, I mean, an admiration for your energy, like Ian was saying, the energy that just goes and goes and goes, and you never seem to age. It's absolutely amazing. Really, what I said in the beginning as well, whatever you guys touch turns to gold, because you do it so well, and you're always honest, truthful, integrity is always there. It's never an issue. Fantastic. Thank you very much, so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I must also thank Ian and Charl as well for coming on too.
And Gary for organizing it. I must tell you, Gary he phoned me yesterday and he said, it's all very easy. Just get I don't even know, the cable and stick it into the rotor, whatever. I said, Gary, you're talking a foreign language. Now, don't talk shit to me. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, no, you don't understand. So I've got the most amazing IT guy, Wayne Walker. If anybody wants anyone on IT, I had to phone Wayne. Yeah. I don't know if you know Wayne, but he's looked after me for 20 years with all my IT knowledge.
Word.
And he came and he put it in because I was in Plet today doing a tasting, and then he came quickly at 5 o'clock and he said, don't worry about it, I'll do it. And I don't know what he was doing, but he did all the plugs. So
it's worked an absolute treat. You've had a beautiful picture and sound the whole night, Olga.
Good.
And Vivian says it's a pleasure to meet you.
But I mean, this was all thanks to Wayne. So if anybody needs a really good art, brilliant. But thank you, Gino, and thank you, Gary.
It's a pleasure.
It's been lovely chatting with you, and you must
absolute honor to have you. Yes, no, we will, and it's once this COVID thing is done, we're doing a nice big wine tasting with you as well. The last one we did was a winner.
We'll do the whole Valley Edge.
Yes, the Barkens Valley people. Thank you, Olga. Thanks so much for coming on. Oi!
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. Drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver. Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino's shot.
Get to Gino's spot.